Abram. I see a black screen from you.
You hear me now?
I do.
Oh, hold on.
And I see you now.
Out of the speaker. Out of the speaker. Disable. Disable. Okay.
Hi.
Hey, all right. Sorry, my son was taking the extra time for me to put him to bed.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
So
do that.
I saw the upstream stuff. You got my note, right?
That you were going to be late?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got
cool.
it later than I probably should have, but whatever. The email came in at like 9:06, and I'm like, oh, okay, no worries. I just played music.
I'm sorry, I sent it like a quarter to.
Yeah. Not a worry.
So
I just played music for people.
cool. All right. Anyways, so I noticed that you didn't put on the upstream anything about the scalpers and people fighting back against the scalpers. So
True.
So I thought maybe I could talk about that. We had a story about people who have actually created fake bots to like bid up against the scalpers.
Is that in response to our research?
What do you mean in response? That's a separate thing. Now,
Okay.
in response to our research, Michelle is actually doing a feature where she's interviewing some of the folks who are, there's more than one.
Okay.
The multiple folks who are doing that, doing the other thing where they're listing it with and saying that they're selling a picture.
Okay.
And she also got a comment from eBay.
Oh, nice.
So
I look forward to seeing that.
So I actually, her story's not up yet, but I actually have like a lot of info to talk about it. So
cool. Sounds like a great topic.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. All right.
I love the pants.
Sorry. No one can see, but
no, just me. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm getting used to. I've got a screen in front of me again with you on it, so that I can keep looking at the camera, and I'm trying to remind myself, look forward. I keep finding myself looking to my right, like I've been since we moved studios. Like, no, he's in front of me. Look over there.
Cool.
Oh,
so yeah, I looked at the rest of the upstream topics. Cool. Seems good.
Okie dokie. All right. Record. For anybody who is watching live, before we actually go live, I just want to let you know we've, for whatever reason, been having weird internet things tonight, and the stream has cut out a couple of times, so we are currently running across 3 different internet connections at once. Hopefully that means that if one of them kicks out, it will shift over to the other 2, but if it doesn't, I apologize. Same to you, Abram. If things go weird, that's what happened. So, I don't know what's happening. Studio didn't have any power this morning. It's been a weird day. So. Okay. Recording. All right, here we go. That's it. Good evening from Plunkett Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Abram.
And we're here with episode 581 of F5 Live, refreshing technology for Sunday, December 6th, 2020. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, Libra's seizing the day, Fortnite is tripping up gamers, and WarnerMedia is almost skipping theaters. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options, through our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, or Facebook, or of course on our website, plughitslive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to f5live.tv/join us, and there you can chat with us during the show, give your feedback on the topics as we talk about them, or you can always subscribe at plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, The Pilch Point, Plug Hits Live Presents, and a whole lot more. And of course, find all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along. Well, Abram, it seems like we were just doing this.
Yeah, it was. We had to do last week's episode on Wednesday, and I appreciate everyone's flexibility in particular, because it was a difficult week for difficult beginning of the week last week with all the stuff that I had to do for work.
Yeah.
With Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all that stuff. But I'm glad we got through it. We had a nice a nice run this year. Had some really nice deals. Did you pick up anything cool on Cyber Week, Black Friday week?
My new screen here for you. Let me see. I don't know that I have. I don't know that I'm set up to go full screen on my side. I am. There we go. I can do this. The screen that's here that you are on is one of the special deals that we've picked up here for the studio. I got memory cards because but that might have been Prime Day now that I think about it, because we were having trouble with the recorder kicking out. But no, in general, not a whole lot this year. I looked at your monitors. I almost picked up a couple of them, and I'm like, I've got so many other monitors just sitting around. It would be weird to purchase more of them, so I decided against.
You mean the monitor that I own? Yeah. So I think it's still going, folks. I happen to have recently bought two the last couple of months, not this week. Two Lenovo 28-inch 4K monitors, and now last I checked, they're $239 at Newegg. The model number, it goes under really two model numbers, which are basically the same monitor, but one is a ThinkVision and one is just a Lenovo. They look the same. So I have one of each because one was on sale at one time, one was on sale another.
Makes sense.
The one that's the best price right now is the Lenovo L28U30. And last I checked, Newegg had it for $239, although that deal could be over. The regular price is $269. So, even the regular price is pretty good if you when it's in stock, which it isn't always. And they're really good non-gaming budget 4K monitors, right? I find that the color and the brightness are pretty good. We actually had, it also goes under the name ThinkVision S28U10. Say that 5 times fast. But they have very thin bezel, very professional, nice looking, chassis. But the drawbacks are it doesn't have any FreeSync or G-Sync, so no, it doesn't do HDR, and there's really a limited number of ports. It's just HDMI and DisplayPort, and that's it. And there's no cool features like picture-in-picture, and the menu is kind of bare bones. The menus are kind of bare bones, but good quality. And if you're looking to buy a couple of monitors, which I was, to spend $250 give or take on a 4K monitor is is pretty good. And one other feature they have that is actually really nice is that the power supply is built in.
Okay.
So there's no power brick. It just go like you just run the cable to power. There's no extra power brick taking up space in your
Yeah,
desk or floor.
that's nice. The ones for those for those who have encountered us at local events, the monitors that we use for that are the same ones that we have in the studio, which again goes to explain why buying more of them was crazy.
Put, but not USB-C power coming in.
Yeah, that would be way better. But yeah, so the big ones that I have are that way, but the ones that we use here in the studio use a regular, just a standard Edison cable. So yeah, that's way better. Oh, way better. I wish
Right.
all of my monitors that
Right.
were that way. So yeah, that's a huge selling point for me. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So that's so I like them. As some folks who've been watching our show a bit know, I'm now on a 4 monitor setup. These 2 Lenovo's in the bottom, and my 2 old Dell 24-inch monitors on the top row. Um, I actually would like to at some point replace the top two with identical with with 2 more of these,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that everything matches. But having the small ones on the top really isn't bad. Um,
Boy, do I
it just
understand
creates
that.
you know, I mean, they're I mean, these monitors I've had on the top here, they're older than my son, and he's 8. Right? I've had these for
Yeah,
like 9 years
yeah.
easily.
The ones I've got
Um,
are that way too. They're from 2011 because they're years in their model number, which is fascinating.
yeah. So what can you say? I mean, it's monitors last a long time,
Yeah, they do. Some of
which
them
is
do.
why sometimes, yeah, which is why sometimes you look and you're like, oh well, this is work. This is one part of my system that's actually working. So I'm not going to replace it. But
Yeah,
yet the quality and cost of monitors has gotten so much better over the last few years.
yeah, it has.
I mean, not that my old ones were high quality for their time, and they were like $450 when I got them, and now I got a monitor that is $250 and has like more something like double the resolution and better brightness and color. So
Hmm.
go
Um,
figure.
we we might or might not be live on Facebook right now because Facebook's a bit of a mess for live, but it is what it is. I did warn that tonight might be a little weird for live. As we always remind people, the best way to watch us live is at f5live.tv/join us because we can't control what everybody else does. Um, Weird things are weird. Anyway, yeah, I totally understand wanting all of them to match. I have 4 identical monitors, so I totally get it. But then in here, this monitor, literally the bezel is cracked. Uh, and it has been for
Right.
years. Probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years this monitor has been cracked, the bezel. And I don't
Yeah.
care. It still works. Why why mess with success,
I
right?
mean, monitors last forever. I
Yeah,
mean,
they do.
maybe they're not supposed to, but they last a really long time, which is
Indeed.
good.
Yeah, it's definitely good for consumers because it means that, I've been using the same monitors for a decade. So, yeah. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, even though we just did a show. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get down to it. This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, an Xbox, new games, and a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and military can save up to 10% on almost everything, and you can find out about all of that by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. All right, we haven't talked about these guys in a while. We haven't talked about the Libra cryptocurrency in a while. But the last time we did, um, the situation was that governments around the world had put extra scrutiny on them. A, because they're a cryptocurrency, and most governments are trying to figure out exactly what that means, and how it applies to their world, and because it was started by Facebook, and everything Facebook does gets extra scrutiny. Um, and so, over the last couple of months since last we talked, the organization, the Libra Association, has made changes. They've brought in executives, people to run the organization, people to run the sub brand that is in charge of payment processes. And the thing they decided to do was to rename the whole everything. Um, so it is no longer Libra and the Libra Association. It is now Diem and the Diem Association. So Diem, like Carpe Diem. Obviously, it's probably a great idea for them to have changed names. The association with Facebook had hurt them. The association, the fights, the early fights with governments had hurt them. Some of their early partners left real quick, and it continued to kind of hemorrhage partners. And something like this needs some big backing to have any success. So, I think the name change, the rebranding, and the both the theoretical and the organizational distancing from Facebook's probably a good idea. Facebook seems to agree because they've also rebranded their side of things. They were developing a wallet for the Libra currency that was called Calibri, and now it is called Novi, Novi, to signal a bigger separation, changes in the organization. I think it's probably a good idea, since the stench of Facebook at this point can hurt everything. Even Oculus is starting to see it. So, what do you think, Abram?
Why is this continuing? I guess
That's
too
a
many
whole
people
different
had too
thing.
much invested in it.
I don't know.
I mean, is anybody actually like what is the point?
I don't know. I legit don't know what they're hoping
Like,
to
is
accomplish
the
here.
world need this?
Can't
Do
imagine.
we need another currency? Do
I
we?
I
I mean,
I see where the idea of, sometimes I understand it, sometimes even I can't wrap my head around the concept. So I'm a little back and forth on it. The idea of a stable coin being based on like a basket of, I think is the term. I hate when something starts, the first thing they have to do is create their own lexicon. Anyway, I think they call it a basket. Basically, it's a collection of different valued items. It could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be products. In this case, it's physical currencies: U.S. dollar, euro, pound, yen, and something else, I think. Which prevents the currency from doing this all the time, right? So I can understand that, in theory, the concept wanting to do international wire transfer, but as soon as you say that that's what you're doing, then governments get involved and all the benefits go away. So, which is what's happened here. The governments have gone, this is going to be used partially for international wire transfer, so you're a bank. And so all of a sudden you start getting, FDIC in the United States and things like that involved, and all of the benefits of a cryptocurrency go away. So I'm back and forth on it. Generally, I think it's a bad idea, though. I don't think there's a whole lot of value in it. But a cryptocurrency expert, or somebody who thinks they're a cryptocurrency expert, might have a different answer for us. But I don't know.
I'd rather put my money into Ducals. The currency of the Grand Duchy of Avram. I'd rather put my money into Ducals. Um,
Uh, it's been a
Scott knows
while.
this.
It's
About
it's been a
once a
while.
year, it comes up
Yeah, it
that
does.
there's a really weird
Oftentimes when we talk
micronation.
about Libra.
Yes, called the Grand Duchy of Avram, located at grandduchy.org. I have nothing to do with them. I just find it hilarious when I Google my name that I find this. It's just really strange, and apparently, it's like this dude in Australia who's now calls himself like Prince John, the Grand Duke of Avram or something, and he issues coins and he has his own little bank, and he calls them ducals. Um, anyway, what I'm saying is, I'd rather put my money into ducals than into Diem. Um,
You know what's interesting? I started to type into Bing. I typed in Avram, uh, and it completed with Avram pitch, close, mobile app review. So apparently people are
Mobile
searching for
app review.
you. I don't know. They're searching for you by the wrong name, which is fascinating. Anyway, that's not the point. Just an interesting aside. Because I was going to go look up the website again because I always love to see the pictures. Usually when we do this, I
Anyway,
go
it's
look at photos of the coins. Anyway, weird
yes, and
weird
they're selling for
tradition
a
that has
lot.
come out.
They're selling for a lot on eBay. They
Yeah, they
really
are.
like schmancy because they probably don't really make any. Anyway, the this is my point in all this is that this DM thing seems like a waste of time. It
Hmm.
feels like the Tizen of currencies. You remember Tizen was, which still exists in some form, right?
Yeah, it does.
Samsung and Intel had, what was
The
its name before it was Tizen?
the watches, right?
Yeah, it's on the watches, but before it was called Tizen, it was supposed to be on like Intel was involved, and it was supposed to, the operating system was supposed to be across platforms. So it was supposed to be on like tablets and phones, and they had netbooks with it. And then Intel gave up on it, and Samsung took it over, and it was called Tizen, and nobody cared about it anymore. Although it still exists
It was
on some watches.
it was the successor to Migo, and
Migo.
it was originally Bada.
Right. So Migo was a thing years back where even though there were plenty of operating systems around that were dominant, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, Android, iOS, Intel had this idea that they, in collaboration with Samsung and I think some other players, were going to come up with their own operating system called Migo, and they were going to have Migo across every kind of device. There was going to be Migo on netbooks, and there was on notebooks and netbooks, and there was going to be Migo on phones. And then one day, it
And it
all
was
just Intel
it,
washed their hands of it.
it actually the story is a little more interesting. Intel's operating system was called Moblin, and Nokia's was Maemo, Maemo, and they merged together to become Migo. And at some point, Nokia said, "We're out," and that left Intel alone with it. And Intel's like, "Well, without Nokia, what are we gonna do with this operating system? I guess we're done." Because Nokia had gone Windows Phone for their mobile stuff instead.
Right.
It was an absolute mess of a partnership because it was based on two organizations trying to not have wasted their time, and it ended up wasting more of it.
But it was another example of something where a large company or companies wanted to create a platform that wasn't necessary,
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
where there was plenty of established players, and and it failed, but somehow it's been resurrected in something with a very minor presence. Perhaps that will be Diem's fate. It'll be used in some really small way,
so
like
yeah, so
Tizen is now.
so Tizen was terminated in or Migo was I'm seeing was terminated in favor of Tizen, and Migo became Mer, which also didn't do anything.
Oh,
Though it
I thought
supported
it
a
became
lot
Tizen,
of
I guess.
things. It apparently supported a lot of processors and stuff, and then a lot of things came off of it. Oh, including Java and Sailfish, which were other operating systems that were a waste of time. There was a thing, like at one point, there was this strong desire from everybody to be in operating systems, right? Everybody wanted their own mobile operating system. And, that.
Firefox OS,
Oh, I
Ubuntu
interv-
Mobile.
I interviewed a company at CES a number of years ago who had two primary phones. One ran on a Windows Phone and one ran on Firefox OS. And I'm like, what are you people doing? Honest to God, take your hardware experience. And this was somebody who was walking up to them with a Windows Phone in my pocket. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Just put Android on it and move on with your day. Neither of these things are going to be around next year, and
No.
neither of them were. And
As a
and
journalist, I loved it though because it was so interesting.
yeah, absolutely. I like talking to Blue out in the courtyard that same year was a tremendous amount of fun. Getting to see the interesting things that were happening was fun, and a lot of those things have found their way. Right, they've all weaved their way into the iOS and Android ecosystems. The notification system for iOS literally is based on WebOS, which they hired almost the entire WebOS notification team when HP shut it down. Things like that. They weave their way into the big ones, and everybody got out of operating systems, and now everybody wants to be in cryptocurrency, or at least they did a year and a half ago when this project got started, and now nobody seems to care. In general, you don't see a dozen new coins being birthed every hour like you did 2 years ago. And here we have Tizen, the last holdout trying to
Yeah.
to make a space in a space where there's no need. So I don't know. I don't know what Libra / Diem is going to do here. The fact that it sounds like a direct message, I don't think is going to help its brand.
No, they're going to carpe their own name.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think it continues to be the mess that it always has been. And I don't suspect that it's going to get better. That's my take on it. But, what do I know? Facebook's got a lot more money to waste on stupid stuff than you and I do.
If someone tells you they're gonna pay you per diem, go somewhere else.
All right. That was clever. Thank you for that, Abram. All right. With that, this week's Pilch Point with Abram Pilch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices, and you can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee, all by going to pilchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right, Abram, what have we got this week?
So, we've mentioned before the shortages that are going on in really, I guess, the PC world, right? There's 3 hot product lines, and I'm not even talking about consoles, which is, I guess, if you want to include those, there's 5 hot product lines right now. There's PS5, there's Xbox Series X, and on the PC side of things, there are the NVIDIA RTX 3000 series graphics cards, the AMD Ryzen 6000 series graphics cards, and the AMD Radeon 6000 series graphics cards and Ryzen 5000 series CPUs. that are all nearly impossible to get. Some of these products, the RTX 3080, for example, have been out for over a month, but you can't get them. I mean, you can try, but as soon as they're in stock, they're out of stock. And the reason is scalpers. There have been a lot of scalpers
Yeah, I was going to say you can
using
get them, but you're going
bots.
to pay a lot of money for them.
Yeah, so there's another way. So if money is no object for you, then then you can buy them, because what happens is, for example, the RTX 3080 card has an MSRP of, I believe it's 699 or 799, and you can buy one on eBay for double that. And that's because scalpers are coming in, and they have bots that will do it within, seconds of it becoming available, and they will snap up the inventory, and then they will charge you double for it. And you will find that stuff on eBay. You will also find it, shockingly enough, to an extent, on Amazon. Did you know that? On Amazon,
No.
Amazon has sellers that are basically scalpers now. You can go. I mean, I haven't checked today, but as of like Friday, if you go and you search for like an RTX 3080 card or 3070 card on Amazon, you will find results where it's in stock and like 12, 13, 14, $1,500, and they claim to only have like three, four, or five of them. So that sounds like a scalper to me. Um, so anyway, so what do you do if you want one of these cards? Well, first of all, just from a practical perspective, if you want one of these, one way to get one of these cards is to buy a computer with it in it. So, or one of these CPUs perhaps, because OEMs who make desktops are getting another different supply chain, different supply line than you are, and so Alienware, the Alienware Aurora R10 and R11 have the 3080, 3090, or 3070 card in them, and those are shipping within like 2 weeks, last I checked. And Newegg actually had one with the 3070 from a company called ABS for $14.99. I mean, that's a whole computer with that card in it. So if you were looking for a whole computer, that might make sense. Now, otherwise, got to keep trying. We have on Tom's Hardware some articles about where to go to sign up for notifications and how to try it. And by the way, there's a free open source Raspberry Pi app that will actually turn your Raspberry Pi into a bot to alert you if something goes on sale, if there's something comes in stock. But you got to be so quick. Um, and these scalpers, their bot buys it for them, right? So folks have been people in the non-scalper community, consumers, are not happy, nor should they be, and they're fighting back. So in ways that are certainly violate the terms of service of eBay, and might be illegal. Um, in our AMD on Reddit, some folks shared the method for creating a fake bidder bot on eBay. And what it will do is it will bid. So I don't think this helps for something that's buy it now. I don't think this works for something that is a buy it now purchase. Um, but for something that's up for auction on eBay where people can bid, uh, it will it will bid, or it'll be a fake person basically, and it'll bid a ridiculous amount. It'll bid like $70,000, right? So it'll outbid anything that any human would actually pay, but it's a fake bidder. So it derails that auction. And eBay goes and tries to remove them, and the seller, I think, can do something to report them, but they're being flooded. Some of those listings are being flooded to where, they've got like 20 people bidding $70,000, or 20 usernames, I should say. And, they're using VPNs and things like that to make it untraceable. So, so that's something that, that the consumers are doing to fight back against the bots. Another thing that we have noticed, and we're doing a story on this at Tom's Hardware, is and this is a kind of a buyer beware story for the rest of us, is that there are some folks on eBay who are putting up listings for the RTX cards, but and possibly other types of cards, but we particularly are tracking it on the RTX 3060 Ti, but it's probably happening on all different kinds of video cards, um, where it's saying that there's like, it's quoting a price of $399 for like the RTX 3060 Ti, which is MSRP, or just slightly above MSRP. So it looks really good, too good to be true. You click through, and if you read the description, which the description might be like way scroll down the page, way below the buy button. So someone might just click buy because they're not expecting to scroll down and look for description. And the description says, don't buy this. You're bidding on a piece of paper that has a printout picture of, if you buy this, I'm just going to send you a piece of paper with a photo of the graphics card. You're not getting a graphics card. You're paying $400 for a piece of paper. Don't buy this. We put this up here to mess with the bots. And I guess the idea is that there are bots also scouring eBay, and that these bots would attempt to buy something, and then they would end up, wasting their money and wasting their time and getting a piece of paper. Now, we could argue over the ethics of this. I mean, is it okay to take from someone, even if that someone is a scalper? I mean, I get, mind you, there's an interesting question of whether or not they're in violation of eBay's rules. So eBay has a rule that says, and we've asked eBay about this. eBay has a rule that says that you can't sell nothing. It's like it's called, I think, the no item rule. You can't sell people nothing. But on the other hand, they are selling people something. They're selling them a piece of paper. That's semantics, because nobody wants the piece of paper.
Yeah, it's not the thing they think they're buying.
In some cases, the headline for the listing on eBay says, read description, like, better read this. And others, it doesn't say that either. It doesn't say that at all. So in some respect, I guess it's buyer or bot beware, read the description. But on the other hand, it's really deceptive. And we all know from eBay that, like, if you go to eBay, the descriptions are way down the page, and like, you wouldn't necessarily feel like the need to read a description of a graphics card that you already know what graphics card you wanted, right? Like, oh, RTX 3060 Ti, I know all about it. I don't need to read how many ports it has. I know what it has. It's this price. I'm just going to buy it. Especially when, it's not even clear that there is a description till you scroll down quite a ways. So, Michelle Earhart, who is our staff writer at Tom's Hardware, has been looking into this, interviewing some of the folks who were putting up the listings. One of the folks told her that even though it says no refunds, he has refunded the money of any actual human who bought it from him. But he's more than happy to disrupt the bots. in this way. Now, I don't know. The one thing that's really not clear is, does this mean that he's profiting off of it? Like, if he gets, if a bot buys it from him for $450 and doesn't give them a refund, that means that he got $450 for a piece of
True.
paper.
True.
Um, Even though it's a bot. I mean, by the way, when you say it's a bot, there's a person behind the bot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's someone's money, right? Like, it's not, you might think the person who would buy stuff this way deserves it or something, but they but that's it's kind of vigilante justice, right? um but eBay hasn't taken down any of these listings. They have sold stuff through them. And when we asked eBay, they said that they just quoted us the no item policy, but then we asked whether a piece of paper counts as no item, and the person said something like, if a user complained, they would probably get a refund or something like that. So I I don't know. I mean, I do tend to think that eBay probably should consider it a no item, because it's, even though it's in the description, it's pretty deceptive. I'm curious. Curious what you think, Scott.
Yeah. Th- this is a practice that's existed for a while on eBay. You and I, interestingly, some of this came up after our show on Wednesday, and that I have seen this on eBay for years. I used to spend probably an unhealthy amount of time on eBay, and I got, I got to know the weird ins and outs of things that were happening. And you go looking for something that is either new and in demand or old and in demand. And oftentimes you'll find listings like this. You and I just joking around both did searches for different products, and the first result both of us saw was a photo. And that kind of sent us down a weird rabbit hole. But yeah, it's definitely vigilante, and so I don't know that that's a word. Um, the idea that it's trying to throw off the bots in concept, I suppose I get distracting, you know, processor cycles and things like that. But you're absolutely right. There's still money changing hands from a human being to a human being, and it,
And eBay will probably refund it. And the other thing is, I mean, I guess it just hassles. Um, I mean, maybe there will be someone who has a bot who knows. So the other thing that I don't get, but the guy we interviewed said that really that he believes bots will really find this, is who trains their bots on eBay as the place to find the video card. Like, that's where scalpers come to unload their wares,
mm-hmm,
right? That's like, that's not where you would go to find the stuff you want to scalp. That you
ge-
go to
generally no.
Newegg, you go to Amazon. eBay is where they go to unload that stuff. It's like the, I don't know, the pawn shop of whatever you want to call it. Like,
eBay
you
and
got your
Facebook
ill-gotten
Marketplace.
ill-gotten gains. You get your ill-gotten gains else. You go somewhere else to get the goods, and then you go there to deal them. So, like, it's hard for me to believe that there's a lot of people who are looking for cards that to then turn around and scout on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. Um, the ones that we were looking at, uh, both the video cards and the consoles that we were looking at, um, on Wednesday night, they were all at or below MSRP. So I mean, if somebody didn't know what they had, perhaps, and tried to sell a product like that at MSRP. I understand most eBay sellers go and search eBay to find what the going rate is before they sell it. But somebody throws something on there for MSRP, I mean, it could still be a good source of scalpable material, but the likelihood of finding it is going to be lower. And now, as a bot, as a scalper, you're having to sift through listings for photos. So you might be able to get a good deal as a scalper. You might be able to source an extra couple of units, maybe, but there's way more trouble than it's worth, it seems like.
Yes, well, I think that's what these vigilantes are trying to do. Is,
Yeah,
I mean, the ones who are bidding up,
screw up the ROI.
I think the ones who are bidding up are probably doing more to stop scalpers, because they're taking scalpers who already have cards and they're making it hard for them to sell their wares, right? Whereas I just find it, and the person that we interviewed really seemed sincere. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were putting up these, I'm putting this up for bots, don't buy it, descriptions of things, are actually doing that as a CYA to be like, no, I'm not trying to ensnare human beings who are regular consumers with this.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to get the bots, but meanwhile that's who they're ensnaring. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think it could.
The in the old days, it's fun to say that and mean like 5 or 6 years ago. Earlier on in eBay's life, at the launch of the Xbox One or even the 360, you go back to those generations, and the exact same thing was happening. People were still selling photos or empty boxes, which is the other one, by the way. And that existed back then, and they weren't trying to fight the bots. They were just trying to scam people out of money. So I'm 100% with you. I think a lot of it probably has to do with covering themselves because they're doing something shady, but trying to hide behind this veneer of no, I'm trying to screw up the bots. But when somebody pays me $450, I'll take it. So
anyway, I encourage folks who are looking for any of these new components to come to tomshardware.com, where we have stories about the best places to look for them. And stay tuned, because we're going to have up a feature about the people who are listing the pieces of paper to try to stop scalpers. And we already have an article up called Bot Wars: Enthusiasts Fight eBay Scalper Listings with False Automated Bids, that you can check out, that talks all about the automated bids effort. So we live in interesting times, at least when it comes to buying your tech.
For sure. Well, I really look forward to seeing this article with the interviews and stuff, because it's something that has been fascinating to me for a very long time, and the idea of it still going on, but for different reasons, is weird for all the reasons we talked about. So I definitely look forward to seeing this article. And as always, Abram, I look forward to what we talk about next. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. Get all the accessories you need to up your game on your PC, console, or mobile device from Razer. Whether you're looking for a gaming mouse and keyboard like we use here in the studio, a webcam and light to improve your Twitch stream, or an entire gaming setup, you can find it all at Razer by going to f5live.tv/Razer. Speaking of Twitch, one of the topics that has been on our minds as Twitch streamers ourselves, right? We are, if you're watching live, you're quite likely watching us on Twitch right now. So because of that, it's hard not to pay attention to the space. And what we've seen is we're not the only ones paying attention to the space. And the Recording Industry Association of America, RIA, has also been paying attention to Twitch now. And a couple of months ago, we saw a number of streamers lose videos and then get a very weird and vague email with threats in it that Twitch ended up apologizing for because they definitely screwed up how they handled the DMCA stuff and have promised to fix it. But there's a couple of problems that have all kind of culminated into the situation we're in right now. The fact that Twitch and Twitch streamers have never given any regard to the law. In particular, the laws surrounding copyright. But then on the other hand, there's the issue that sometimes, even if you try and do everything right, you'll still do it wrong. And that's because the game publishers have created scenarios that either purposefully, probably not, but likely accidentally ensnare the streamers. We've seen publishers have started, we talked a couple weeks ago, publishers have started including in the purchase of a game a streaming license, a rights license, so that if things start to get hairy, you have a thing that says you have the legal right to stream the game. That's great. We have a couple of games coming out either before the end of the year or early next year, including Cyberpunk, that have I believe, including Cyberpunk, that have an option in the settings to turn off licensed music. So if you're streaming, you won't get hit for DMCA stuff. That idea, however, did not make its way over to Epic, at least not in time for the Nexus War event that just wrapped. In this event, you play in 10-minute battles against Marvel's Galacticus, but that's not the problem. Marvel doesn't care. The problem is, while you're on the battle bus, AC/DC's Demon Fire is playing. Oh, well, that falls under RIA, and RIA is who's paying attention. So there's a potential that even if you try and do everything right, if you were playing and streaming during this time, you could still get DMCA strikes, which technically is a YouTube term, but it has kind of caught on for the industry. You could get a DMCA takedown notice, colloquially known as a strike, having tried to do everything right, because this song played and you didn't have a choice. So the industry is definitely going through growing pains right now. I don't know that, when Justin.tv got started and a bunch of people were, illegally streaming pay-per-view WWE matches, which is mostly how Justin TV got started. They certainly weren't prepared for what it would evolve into, which is Twitch, which is this massive home for some of the most popular online personalities. I don't think they could have possibly prepared for that, and they did not put an infrastructure in place. And so that's what we're seeing now is those struggles. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think the option to turn off music is a good one.
Mm-hmm. I think we need to
the
start seeing it more.
So the interesting question to me is, as a streamer, mightn't you want to just turn off all the sound from the game? Because I mean, if you're talking, right, maybe you want people to hear what you're talking, what you're saying.
So that I can do. Um, I can either turn off the music in the games, right? I can turn off music, I can turn off game sounds, or through my streaming setup, I can not stream system sounds, only my headset, microphone, or whatever. So that
Right.
absolutely is totally possible. A lot of streamers will turn down the game, will turn off the game music, turn down the game sounds so they can talk over top of it, but have it full volume in their headsets. That's how a lot of streamers set up, but it doesn't matter what the volume is, Rhea's going to find it if there's music in it.
Right. 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 So, turn off. I mean, I think most games allow you to turn off in-game music, right?
Oh, yeah. Almost all games allow you to
But
turn off in game music.
granted, granted, a lot of people won't think to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so that therein lies a problem. But I think a lot of people won't. A lot of people won't think to do that. I mean, think about the times we live in that we have to teach, young people, children, even about copyright.
Mm-hmm.
Like my son is 8. I had to explain to him copyright because he will talk about, like, we were talking about, like, we want to put up a game that we made, right,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to
Yeah.
put on GitHub, and I was like, oh yeah, and he wanted to use Nintendo sounds, and I was like, no, we can't use real Nintendo sounds. Why not? Oh,
Of all the brands, it's the last one you want to
yes.
use.
Right. um or he'll be doing he'll talk all the time. I want to put up a video of this or whatever, and I'll be like, well, is it copyrighted? so it's you got to explain copyright to young people,
Yeah.
to who, like, we didn't have a concept of that. I don't think we had a concept of that. I had a concept of that in elementary school.
Right. Right.
um, but now anybody who's publishing online, and there are lots of quite young people publishing things online,
Yep.
has to be familiar with copyright law. um, to some
Mm-hmm.
extent, they also probably need to be media trained,
True.
because you don't want to say something outrageous or embarrassing on social media that can come back to haunt you.
Right. That'll be there forever. And
So
get you when you're trying to get a job
right,
10, 20 years
can't
later.
believe what you said when you were 13.
Yeah. Or God forbid,
You
you lose your scholarship to Harvard, which was a real life story a couple years ago.
So yeah, I mean, it's people. Everybody's a publisher now.
There's a lot of pitfalls here, and at least on YouTube's side, and we give YouTube crap all the time. If you're not watching this live and you're watching it later on YouTube, there's literally a joke at YouTube's expense at the very end of the video, because we say subscribe and hit the notification bell, because subscriptions don't mean anything anymore. They don't do everything right, but during the process of creating content on YouTube now and going live, there's things that you have to agree to. They give you information before you can go live the first time, and there's a 24-hour cooling off period. There's every time you upload a video, the third panel asks, third or fourth panel, maybe the fourth. Yeah, I think it's the third. Asks questions. Are you talking about anything like this or this or this or this? Like, they give you, and you have to go through it and say no, 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 yes. They give you things like that, and then if you violate it, they give you the ability to mute part of the video. Facebook has some of the same things, the ability to mute the thing that's a violation, things like that. But the game streaming world, Twitch in particular, what's the DMCA system for them? Delete the video and panic. That's, that is their response to a DMCA takedown. So, they don't have any of that stuff in place. And, those are those growing pains. They're, when they were little and nobody was paying attention to them, that was one thing. Now they're owned by Amazon. They're being paid attention to by obviously everybody, because RIA is obviously indexing stuff on the site now. The rules are starting to apply to them. Streamers are having trouble adapting. Obviously, Twitch is having trouble adapting, and people are getting in trouble. There's no warning. There's no way to address it. It's just whoop, your stuff's gone, and not private, gone. You can't even download it yourself and fix it, and maybe upload the fixed version to YouTube or something. Nope, it's gone. Bye bye. So
yeah, I mean, Twitch has also had a problem with dealing with bad behavior as well, which we talked about a few weeks ago, right? Where people will come on and say, come into and bombard people with racist stuff and hate speech and all that kind of stuff, and then someone will report that person, and then nothing happens. And I believe just this week, Twitch said that they will actually inform the reporter of the outcome, whereas in past, whether they took action or decided no action was warranted, you didn't hear back from them. Yeah,
gotcha.
So now they said that they will at
that's
least
more
let
in
people
line.
know.
That's more in line with what Facebook does, right? If you report a post on Facebook, into your support inbox will come a reply. We decided this doesn't violate our community standards, or yes, this was hate speech, or you said it was hate speech, and it turns out it's not really that, but it does violate this. You do get a response on that, so that's good. Twitch did say they're working on tools. Obviously, this is the world's worst time to be trying to add new things to a system, because nobody's actually working together, and staff numbers are low. Even YouTube, talks about how reports are taking a while. So it's a terrible time to be trying to do something like that if your corporate environment isn't prepared for it, which obviously Twitch is not. So they're gonna have to staff up on all kinds of systems, both computer systems and people processes. So it's going to take some time, for sure. We're going to see some problems, but hopefully it's not just Twitch, right? In this case, the problem comes from Epic, because they put licensed music into a game that they know most people who play it stream it. There's so many people who stream Fortnite, and they had to have known that this would have been a problem. But not everybody in the industry is thinking in those terms, because they haven't mattered.
Do you think it was a marketing? Do you think this was you? I think we presented this as Twitch was trying to do its users a solid here by giving them some cool music, and
you mean Epic?
I'm a really big AC/DC fan.
You mean Epic?
Sorry, yeah, Epic was trying to do right. Epic was trying to do their fans a solid by giving them, by playing some cool music for them. But this is the new single from AC/DC. So, do you think this might have been a cross marketing opportunity, and that they were getting paid to put it in there?
Oh, absolutely, almost for sure. They've been doing a lot of that. They've screened movies in game. This year, Fortnite has become a weird thing, and absolutely, there's almost no chance that that's not what's happening here. But still, if you look at what has happened to Twitch over the last 3 months, and we're not even going to get into the panel of people to help curb hate speech that had a girl who identified as a deer or something. If we just look at what's happened with DMCA, this has hurt their reputation publicly. So you'd think that everybody, especially Epic, Fortnite and Overwatch in particular, should be paying attention to every move they make, because gamers are going to be scrutinizing those moves because they're the ones that are going to get hurt by it. And that's the big takeaway here. Epic does something, puts something into Fortnite, but it's not Epic that gets hurt by the outcome of that decision. It's the gamers, it's the streamers, and then they'll get mad at Epic. We all know every time EA makes any decision, people get mad at them. Doesn't matter what the decision is. And Epic could be, if publishers, not just Epic. I'm not trying to pick on Epic because there's no way they're the only ones that are going to do this, right? If the developers and the publishers don't think more about how it affects different aspects of the industry, I think it's going to be a problem for them. So, because they'll lose gamers' respect and trust, and then they become EA, and every game that comes out gets publicly trashed. So no studio wants that. You want to be one of those studios that allows people to turn off licensed music. If you want to have background music, great, but it doesn't have to be licensed, which I think is a great option. So hopefully we'll see more studios think in those terms. This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by Riff Tracks. Make fun of movies, so let these guys do it for you. Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy, the former stars of Mystery Science Theater 3000, are back and doing what they do best, creating commentaries for Hollywood blockbusters and B-movie oddities. It's like watching a movie with your funniest friends. And to find out about all of the full-length features, the short films, TV episodes, live events, and more, you can go to f5live.tv/rifftracks with an X. Oh my goodness. So we've talked the last couple of years, one of the industries we've seen with a lot of growth that neither Avram nor I can understand or explain has been chat apps, whether it be, the constant new entries into the messenger field, or the weird back and forth even within business applications. We've seen a lot of new companies try and get in, and existing companies try and kind of bolster what they're doing. On the business side, the story is stranger because there's not as many players. But they are all interwoven in strange ways. A couple of years ago, Microsoft offered Slack a lot of money for their platform. Slack said, no, thank you. Microsoft said, no problem, we'll go build our own. And they built Teams. When they offered Slack money, Slack was the mostly undisputed leader in the space. Google had a lot of presence. Skype for Business had some, though it was massively limited, because Link wasn't great before that. And then Salesforce had, what's it called, Chatter. And those guys all were playing in the same sandbox. Since Microsoft Teams came out, they have stolen a lot of Slack's thunder. In fact, we've seen Teams with a lot more active users because of integrations, right? It's businesses are already using Microsoft technology, and so the integration with all of that saw a lot of companies go that direction. Well, this week we saw that Salesforce has agreed to pay $27.7 billion to acquire Slack. Why? A, because Chatter has had no steam. and Slack has had a ton. Um, and because Salesforce already has relationships into enterprise, into business, as the top sales tracking and communication platform specifically for sales, it makes total sense for them to want to get into this space. And Salesforce and Microsoft have a, let's say, rocky relationship. So being able to challenge them on another front wouldn't make anybody at Salesforce unhappy. So it's a ton of money. I still don't understand where these numbers come from. I cannot imagine what it would take to recoup $30 billion in investment into a platform that most people use for free. But it'll definitely be interesting.
You know, so I really like Slack. I like it better than Teams. Just primarily because it's just so simple. Um, it doesn't have, but what so simple also means not integrated with things like Teams is integrates so much with your Office suite. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are not you know if you're not committed and working with other people who are committed to Microsoft Office suite stuff, um, Teams is not great. Although my son's school uses it for some things.
Mm-hmm. It's been
So
it's been real
uh,
popular in schools. Microsoft saw a
uh,
big a
so
big boom there.
so and Slack, to be fair, I mean, like, Teams is pretty decent at video conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
Slack, I don't even think you can do. I mean, you can do video calls. I've done video calls. I don't know how many people you can actually get onto a Slack call.
My,
I've only done one to one.
so I have a client that uses both, um, and I see Slack on the same computer. I see Slack choke at 4, um, and we've had calls with 60 on Teams. We didn't fill the new 64 grid. I wanted to. I so badly wanted to fill the new 64 grid, but we missed by just a little bit. Um, anyway, yeah, the video on Slack definitely chokes early, but
Yeah,
that's not what
I
it was
mean,
intended
it's
for.
very right. But I mean, that's something that's really lacking in Slack is like
Mm-hmm.
why people have Google Meet, they have Zoom, they have Teams now, and
Mm-hmm.
WebEx. Like, Slack should be upping their game when it comes to video, because you shouldn't have to have like one client for text and
Mm-hmm.
another client for video and audio.
And that's been part
And
of
I
why
do end up
Slack has struggled over
right.
over the last like 2 years, as we've seen, Microsoft Teams usage go through the roof. Slack has mostly stagnated and even dropped in a couple of quarters, and it's because they're not Microsoft, they're not WebEx, they're not Oracle, they're not Salesforce. They don't have the resources necessarily to put behind development of big, flashy, quick features. Teams has come out of nowhere in the last 2.5 years, essentially, um, and they're able to quickly add new things. It used to be that the grid, literally, in like August, the grid for Teams was 3 by 3. It was 9, and the lockdown started to happen. People said we need more capability, and Microsoft was able to roll out 8 by 8, which is 64, quick. And that's because they've got all those resources, right? They're a cloud company, they're a big developer, they've got resources. And Slack just doesn't have those resources. It's not been part of their culture to be quick. I mean, for God's sake, how long did it take for threaded conversations in Slack? Right? I mean,
Right.
that
I mean,
that was years of
I
people saying we need threaded conversations, and I think we got it this year. You know what I mean? I mean,
you
it's
know
Took
You know
forever.
who's kind of the hidden loser in this is Google.
Uh-huh.
Like
Mm-hmm.
what is Google's response to all this? Like
The hybrid app,
you would
that three-way or
I mean
four-way hybrid app where they brought Gmail, Hangouts, something else. I don't know. There's 4 tabs across the bottom, I think. That's been their response, just to create one app that has tabs for their things, which, I mean, was quick and to the point, but still not, obviously, still not great.
it seems strange because I mean, like at my job, we use Hangouts we use G Suite for everything, and we use Hangouts for all of our video meetings. But we use Slack for moment to moment communication. And it just seems like such a like it's strange that like Microsoft is Teams, what's Google, I mean, granted, Google has tried and pulled the plug a million times on things like that, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, although I don't know if they ever had anything that was really good for like group messaging, like Slack is, but
Spaces.
right, yeah,
That was discontinued in
they
2017. They didn't even
right,
they didn't even give it a full year.
right, yeah, they. So I don't know. That seemed like a mistake to me. Um, because if you're going to play in the office space, then this seems to be an essential part of collaboration today. And Slack is now, I don't see how what's going on with Salesforce is going to help. I mean, I guess investing money in them might help, but
Money and
um,
resources, plus the relationships within the companies. So many big businesses use Salesforce as their sales and customer tracking systems, um, that they already have a hand in those companies. And that's one of the things that Slack was missing, right? Was, well, what do they do? Well, they do Slack. Whereas Microsoft has lots of things, Salesforce has lots of things, and if they can offer it as a bundle, because Teams didn't cost anything extra for the companies that were already Microsoft customers. It was part of their Microsoft 365 subscription. Just whoop, it's just part of it, and so that got a lot of attention from Microsoft customers. So with Salesforce having on the other side of things, on the sales side of the world, them already having a hand in those companies, they might be able to I think they're going to try and leverage that to get more attention back to Slack while having the resources. Salesforce is a cloud company. They don't produce a public cloud, but they do have their own private, data structure that they can, and server structure and stuff that they can put Slack into to bring costs down, things like that. There's things that can come from this relationship that can help put Slack back out in people's companies buying. I can't. Oh, the word's gone. Oh, vendor list. Put Slack back on their vendor list, which when it's another company that you have to pay, that's a lot harder. My the client I work with is trying to limit the number of vendors that they're interacting with, and they're trying to pull back on certain stuff. And I see that in a lot of companies, and you're already working with Salesforce. It's not a new vendor. That'll help. So, plus the ability to do integrations. There's already some pretty decent Slack and Salesforce integrations. This will obviously bring us more. So, for those people who are using it, it'll be natural, and that garbage that is chatter will get to go away. So, for Salesforce people, it'll be a win-win for sure. This week's DRM not included in F5 Live is probably powered by Amazon Prime. In addition to your free shipping, you get a lot of stuff like free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TVs, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free subscription on Twitch with Amazon Prime Gaming, and a whole lot more. You can learn more, get a 30-day free trial, give Prime as a gift, and find quick links to all these features and more, all by going to f5live.tv/prime. Obviously, we know that 2020 has not been a banner year for movie theaters. It hasn't been a banner year for a lot of industries, but movie theaters are an industry that's been hard hit by the year because it requires people to be with people that they don't know in a closed environment. And it's the only way that movie theaters work, with the exception of AMC's rent out the theater for $200 thing that's been going on, which is actually a pretty good deal when you look at it. Not what we're talking about, though. What we're talking about is new releases coming to theaters. There haven't been a lot, and as we talked about with Fortnite, we've seen some movies go so far as to do virtual premieres within Fortnite, or boost up their premiere by doing events in the game in time to do virtual releases through streaming platforms. We saw Disney do it with Mulan, which was supposed to come to theaters and got pushed to Disney Plus instead. One of the movies that has been pushed back and back and back so many times that we joked that there was no way the release date of Christmas was going to happen has been Wonder Woman 1984. We kept joking that there was no way that Christmas was going to happen because there was no way theaters were going to have enough business to do it, and we were mostly right. Warner worked with the movie theaters to allow the movie to come out both in theaters and on HBO Max on the same day, so that people will have a choice. And there's an agreement on revenue sharing and things like that. Well, WarnerMedia got super excited about this and decided to announce that they would run all of their 2021 films the same way. The thing they forgot to do was to tell the theaters that, with whom they have agreements on the window through which you can release stuff to streaming or TV or DVD or whatever. And so they announced all of their 2021 films will release on HBO Max the same day as theaters, and AMC lost it. The response was intense. The CEO went so far as to say that WarnerMedia was doing it as a way to prop up their failing startup, which is HBO Max, which I mean is a huge slam to the company, but maybe not all that off, because Avram and I have talked about it. I haven't been swayed over there yet. If you watch me on Friday nights on the GNC Week in Review, once a month we talk about the stuff that's coming to HBO Max. Never has there been something where I'm like, all right, I'm finally in. That's the one. So, it's possible. I don't know anybody who's subscribed to it. So it's possible that they're using it as a way to try and prop up HBO Max. It sounds like it's going to be good for consumers if it actually happens. $15 a month and new releases are going to be available without, the need to buy, or what Disney did, pay something extra for Mulan. Could be pretty good for consumers.
How bad must you feel if you're paying for HBO at this point? Like, what is HBO Max seems to be where they're putting all the resources.
For sure.
HBO regular is just kind of taken for granted. Well, I mean, this is interesting because I was reading people saying that, like, this is kind of sort of sound of the death knell of movie theaters,
mm-hmm.
and that the Avengers Endgame was the end game for big blockbuster movies.
I've seen a
It's
lot
the
of people
last
say something like
time,
that.
you will see a movie make that kind of money at the movie theater, and a lot of movie theaters are going to close. I mean, I think that Warner is just has made the calculation that a lot of studios have, that like, we are not going to be able to release these movies into movie theaters anytime soon,
Hmm.
and get any type of traction, at least in the United States.
Hmm.
Um, the COVID-19 situation continues to be really, really bad right now around the world,
Hmm.
and
We're
especially
seeing
in the United States.
we're seeing huge spikes in like Germany and things like that as well. So another big
Yeah,
like movie target, a movie destination country is also seeing big spikes. So these places that they rely on to try and pay for a movie, and a movie with the big budget of something like Wonder Woman is going to be hard to pay off.
yeah. So here's the thing, though. I don't well, I think I understand it, but I don't totally understand it. Why they don't just hold the movie for another year or something? Like, they could just stick it in the vault, right? And think that, okay, movie theaters may come back in a year, maybe there's a vaccine, maybe things get better. Um, but what I was reading is a lot of these movies, they take loans, so they're
Hmm.
losing money every month that they hold it.
Yep.
Nevertheless, they're going to make like zero, um, close to zero, because I doubt there's going to be a lot of people going to see it in the movie theater,
Right.
and
But
frankly,
but
they shouldn't.
but you might see a spike in HBO Max subscriptions, which is what they're hoping for. HBO Max has removed their free trial, which is not unexpected. Netflix has done the same thing already, so I think we all kind of expected that services like HBO Max might go the same way. Um, so no free trial. So if you were hoping to see Diana Prince on a 7-day free trial, not going to happen. And So, if you want to see it, you're going to have to subscribe to a $15 package, but you're not going to have to do the Disney thing and pay an extra $30 to see it, uh, which will be nice. But I think they're looking at this the way Netflix looks at Stranger Things, right? Like their flagships. I think they're looking, if we have in December, if we do uh, Wonder Woman, then we do Dune, then we do The Matrix 4. We've got these kind of tent pole things that maybe we can do what has happened to you and I with Netflix, where every time we think, oh, you know what? I haven't watched anything exciting on Netflix in a while. Oh, then Friday morning, Big Mouth season 4 hits. You know, maybe they might be trying to do the same thing, uh, which might or might not work. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Um, but like you said, with a big loan to be able to pay for the production of these films, at some point they have to pay them back before they're in huge trouble. So it's a challenge. It's a weird time for everybody, but especially for industries that require large upfront capital to make something happen, like the big budget movie business.
It does beg the question of whether or not these types of movies will just stop being made.
At least for a
Um,
while, yeah. We I
on
there there was a big period of time where this type of film wasn't being made, and then we saw a big resurgence because of Marvel, and then maybe we'll see another gap. Maybe it's time for another gap because there's way too many remakes and nonsense like The Matrix 4 that that
I
maybe didn't need
mean,
to be made in the first place.
yeah, I have mixed feelings about the Matrix 4. Like, I really liked the first one, and then the second and third one completely ruined the first one for me.
Hmm.
So
I have always
I really hated. 2 and 3.
I have always said that 2 and 3 feel like unrelated films that just used the same actors and gave them the same character names. Because
It's
they
sort
don't
of
feel like they take place in the same place.
it made the first movie look worse. Like it was like, oh, I really thought this was cool, but now I didn't realize how, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There was
so
a TV show that came out a couple of years ago that I didn't want to watch because I was afraid that it was going to make me hate one of the actors and therefore hate one of my favorite TV shows a little, and it did.
uh,
I was I kept being told you got to watch it. It's so great, and I hated the show so much that it makes me hate him a little bit, and it makes me hate the show that I loved a little bit. So
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
understand.
it's like Highlander. When I don't know if you've seen all the Highlanders or whatever, but the first Highlander came out and it was fantastic. It was a great movie for its time. What was it, 1989, 1987, something like
Something like
that.
that.
And then Highlander 2 came out and they retconned the whole thing that now they're all aliens, right? They were, instead of being like mystical humans who live forever, they're aliens for the planet Zeist or something. And we're like, oh no, you just you totally ruined the previous movie for me now.
It's like,
Like,
did you not listen to your own script? There can be only one. Back off.
yeah, there's always one more. There can be only one more. But uh,
He said that
you
one under
know,
his breath.
I I mean, this might get me to subscribe to HBO Max because I really want to see Wonder Woman. Um,
Me too.
the
Because
Dune,
the director is back. She had only signed on for
yeah,
one. She's back, and I think she was a lot to do with why the first one was so well
yeah,
received because she wanted it to be more realistic. You know, her legs move when she lands. Oh, what a concept!
yeah. So I mean, I want to see that, but yeah, after that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I
because
guess we'll.
nobody's ever made a compelling live action Dune anything, and I've been annoyed with the Matrix since the first one.
Uh, Also, I think Suicide Squad 2 is on here. Is on the agenda
Yeah,
as
I think you're
well.
right.
I think.
I think you're right.
Um, Although the first one was really not good, but this one could be good. Who knows? I mean, and they're going to have a bunch of series, so it might be worth it. I'm going to see if I can cancel my regular HBO and just go to HBO Max. But so I guess we'll see. I mean, this is certainly going to probably help them drive some subscriptions, but is it? I mean, how much money does it take to make Wonder Woman? Isn't that like a $200 million film? Um, and then I think all of these are like $200 million movies. So they're giving away like $1 billion of content or something. Although Netflix is doing
You
the same thing.
you absolutely nailed it. Right on the head. 200 million is what the current estimated budget for the film is.
Now Netflix, Netflix. I'll just mention this. I was reading Netflix is doing the same thing. And probably at a lower level of quality because it wasn't never meant for the movie theater. So um, I mean, think of some of the movies that they've made that they've spent like 100 million plus on.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one with Will Smith? Bright.
Mm-hmm.
Bright. I think they spent like 150 million on or something, like 50% of which was his salary. Um, and apparently now Netflix is coming out with a spy thriller called The Gray Man that is going to be directed by the Russo brothers and starring Chris Evans
Mm-hmm.
and Ryan Gosling, and they're spending 200 million on that. So
I'm
I guess
literally
if Netflix can
I'm
spend it,
literally looking at Netflix budgets right now, and that's listed as number one.
I just read about it today, so it occurred to me. Um,
The Irishman was 159. Red Notice 150, Six Underground 150, Outlaw King 120, Triple Frontier 115. It's fascinating. I've heard of almost none of these. Bright was only 90.
Oh, okay.
Project Power 85. The Ridiculous Six. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I cannot believe that's on this list. 60. Okja, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Korean thing. 50. Those are your top 10.
Yeah. So
Huge range from 50 to 200.
So Netflix has been known to spend 200 on a movie, so maybe it's not impossible that they keep making $200 million movies for subscription services,
but they won't be common. That's it. What we're seeing from Netflix here is based on those numbers, they won't be common. They'll happen, but they won't happen often.
Well, I mean, at least Wonder Woman is probably worth 200 million.
Sure.
Right? So, but yeah, I mean, I think this could be, for those who like the movies, that have been coming out, this could mean fewer of them, which would be a shame, and it's certainly might be a death knell for the communal experience of going to the movies, which definitely has its downsides, but
or maybe
I kind of miss going.
Maybe the death of the megaplex, right? Maybe not theaters in general, but maybe just the big 20, 30 screen megaplexes. Maybe we go back to a couple screen, small theater where theater one shows 3 different movies in a day instead of dedicating theater one just to Dune for 4 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's rare. I love to go to, and you just don't see it too much, like a really nice movie theater, like a really old fashioned movie palace type of experience. And
like the one that I have in the header image for this article on the website, which is an Ohio movie theater that outside it's got like an old theater style marquee and things like that.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
I hope at least those theaters stick around.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that'll be what we see. Your AMC 36 will stop being quite the thing, and you'll start seeing, the old, like you said, the old movie palace type concept come back. So, I don't know. I think this is going to create in general, I think the end result of 2020 will be an overall rethinking of the massive expansion of certain industries. The Texification. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? I think we're going to see that concept start to evaporate, probably for the better. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We appreciate it. We always love our live viewers. If you didn't and would like to join us in the future, you can do that Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, by going to f5live.tv/join us. If you cannot join us live, that is okay. There are lots of ways that you can follow us. You can go to plugkitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along, whether it be on a podcatcher, on social media, over on YouTube, wherever you want to join us. We've got the holidays coming up, but we've been talking. I'm going to spring this on Avram right now. One of the things that we've been talking about within TPN has been putting together a little bit of like an end of the year tech spring cleaning? Are there things that you do at the end of your year that help you make sure that you're not going into the next year with weird things? Do you defrag your hard drives? Do you check your devices for certain things? Do you uninstall apps that you don't use? Let us know what those things are, so we can all help each other start 2021 on a bit of a cleaner and more normal note. So let us know what on social media, wherever you can find us. We will appreciate that. We'll be putting that out before the end of the year. And with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Abram.
And we will see you back next time. Ciao.